Greetings, viewer. You have been chosen to save the multiverse. Viva Las Vegas, here we go. Applesauce and Baloney, I'm Thor.
I'm Eric.
And we're talking What If, Episode 9, The Guardians of the Multiverse. Let's dig into it.
Or as I like to call it, Who Watches the Watcher?
Yes, Who Watches the Watcher? Absolutely.
So, oh man. Great build-up. We start with the Watcher and Strange Supreme in his little black sad bubble.
Yeah.
And trying to figure out our way out of this whole Age of Ultron mess, right?
Right. Yeah. We get a direct callback straight into the Doctor Strange episode, with the obviously labeled Doctor Strange Supreme. He is the Supreme Doctor Strange. I saw a meme on the internet where it showed a picture of the Guardians of the Multiverse, and it says Guardians of the Multiverse at 100% power. And then it's just a picture of Doctor Strange, and it says Guardians of the Multiverse at 99% power. So he's
right.
He's obviously the MVP of the episode. But again,
he's the Tony Stark, because we don't have Tony Stark again.
We do. We do have Tony Stark. Right.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
So we get a smidgen of Tony Stark, but that smidgen doesn't die.
Yeah.
So great.
Right. Tony Stark gets one episode or maybe two, that he doesn't die in, which was a running gag that was apparently unintentional by the writers of the series, but is still funny nonetheless.
Right. I know they had to come out and say, no. We love Tony Stark. We didn't mean to kill him every time. It just happened to be. But I think going back to what you said in an earlier episode, I think it works out because it really does. I think cements. I think actually. The gag of, if you want to call it that, of killing Tony Stark every episode really brings home kind of what you were saying before about how pivotal brings about how pivotal Tony Stark is to the MCU at large and everything working out okay.
Absolutely, yeah. It's and I really think that's the case because it seems like every timeline where there is a Tony Stark. That timeline or multiverse is okay. I don't know if they meant it to be that way, but it does seem that way.
It was great when he's going around though, and he's doing his whole "You have been chosen," which was awesome by the way, because this episode starts absolutely just doing a callback to pretty much every single other episode. You have been chosen.
Yeah.
Not you, Stark.
Yeah.
But you have been chosen.
you, not you. Yeah. Yeah. Which I
love even in that universe, Tony Stark assumed that he was there for him. And some of those they did it a couple other times. Some of those comedic turns where he's like, no, not you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was a little surprising when we talk about who was selected, and I had a couple of thoughts on this. Hit me. It seemed almost like the heroes that were selected were heroes where in their universe they were not expendable, but like they could be lost. Like we get the Black Widow from the Apocalypse world, where like she's the last person alive, so she's not going to be missed. We get Doctor Strange Supreme, who's the only person alive in his multiverse. We get Peggy Carter, who's already the person out of time. We get Eric Killmonger for obvious reasons. We get Star-Lord T'Challa, who...
Yeah, it wouldn't be bad if he just disappeared.
Yeah. Which builds into what happens in this episode.
Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I love how they didn't really even... They with the short amount of time... First of all, the first thing I have to say about this episode, and again, I understand budgetary restrictions, I understand COVID, but really, honestly, and they did a good job, but it moved too fast.
Yeah.
And it should have been a lot longer. It almost should have been a movie.
Yeah.
It could have been an animated Avengers movie.
Right. Well, and I think had we gotten that elusive 10th episode that the writers talk about, that would have been the Tony Stark and Gamora on Sakaar
And we're talking
episode.
about Gamora here. We're talking about why Gamora just shows up.
Yeah.
Without any... She's really the only one who shows up without any kind of like, wait, who are you?
Yeah. So had we gotten that episode, I think it would have had a little bit more meat, baby. But yeah, these last two episodes I totally would have taken another hour of these last 2 episodes if they had made each one an hour.
Easily could have. It would not have been. It would not have been stretching it at all to do exactly like you said. The last 2 episodes, I could have had a whole 45-minute episode about Hawkeye and Black Widow.
Yeah.
Like we gushed over that last episode. I felt like again, and we talked about this a little bit with Falcon Winter Soldier when we were watching that show. I felt I really enjoyed the banter between Strange Supreme and the Watcher, you chose them.
Yeah.
In those little moments. But those we needed a little more time with them, I felt, to really feel that.
Right.
And so again, these criticisms are based out of love, which is, I'll get to the end because I have a Marvel, what if wish list for Christmas that I want Kevin Feige to hear about and give me. Maybe he's one of the 5 viewers we don't know. It won't tell us. But no, this episode, I loved it. It was such a great battle. It gave me all the goose pimples of Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
I mean, it could have been a feature film.
Yeah. Well, and it definitely was, because it was on the same threat level that we get with Age of Ultron, that we got with Infinity War and with Endgame. It had the same
than Endgame.
Yeah. It had the same feeling. And
gravitas.
And obviously, it was basically a combination of both, because you get Ultron and you get the Infinity Stones, and once you give those to each other, obviously in these episodes we see what can happen, and I still don't know if necessarily that Ultron knew the extent of the power of the Infinity Stones, or maybe this is what happens when you take Infinity Stones into other multiverses. The writers have touched on that of how the Infinity Stones work. I don't know if I agree with what they say. I think they're still breaking their rules a little bit. But it's their world. They can break the rules as they see fit. The comic books have done it for eons. It's just whatever fits the story.
Okay, so I want to. I didn't read the article you read about what the writers said, but here's my theory, because it did bother me. And now we're talking about the Infinity Smasher, or whatever the device
Gamora's device,
made in Gamora's device that just basically eats Infinity Stones, and why it doesn't work in the penultimate moment where they think, did we win? And Star-Lord T'Challa's like, doesn't feel like we won. Which was great. I get goose pimples all over thinking about that moment, because I'm like, oh snap!
Yeah,
it's gonna get real. But so here's my theory. Okay, the Infinity Stones and Loki, and this is what we're talking about. We're talking about why the Infinity Stones would work at all for Ultron in these other multiverses. And here's my theory, and we've touched on this before, but there is a difference between, we're going to learn this, I think, in Quantumania and then Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
I think there's a thing behind why they're calling those two movies, why those are their subtitles, is the reason they're not breaking that rule is Ultron isn't traveling through time.
Right.
The Stones and Loki don't work because they're somehow out of time at the TVA, and maybe those Infinity Stones don't work in other timelines. But they do work in the multiverse. And so, Ultron isn't traveling through time. He's, we have to assume all the multiverse is happening on the same timeline, basically, the same thrust of, momentum forward. And he's just going through all of them consecutively, which, again, comes back to the last episode, one of our favorite parts, where Ultron's just punching the Watcher into these different realities, but it's almost like it's happening at the same time. They're just fractions of each other.
The time flow is running in the same parallel, but just separated from itself. Yeah, no, it's
Whereas the TVA in Loki, in which we assume is in the quantum realm, and that's how it's out of time, because that's how the MCU
time travels. Yeah.
Does time travel. Is the reason those are paperweights is because those are out of time,
right?
So they're useless.
Right. No, the writers of this, A.C. Bradley came out and said that the reason that Ultron is able to use these Infinity Stones, even though they're not his Infinity Stones, is and in the right multiverse, is because he's using the Infinity Stones to power his natural attributes, because he's not using them, like the Infinity Stones. But I disagree with that, because he stops and rewinds time in this episode, And if we were talking about him powering himself, then when, spoiler alert, Killmonger gets the Infinity Stones, he shouldn't have been able to use them, but he uses them in the same way. So I think the writers are kind of, bending the timeline, a little bit just to suit its purpose. I don't have a problem with it. It's just it's something that you trip over as a fan. You're like, but why? You set up you set up this here. Why is it this here?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. You're right. There is no matter how well they do it, I would rather them take those creative leaps, and me have to use my own suspension of disbelief, which should be every fan's superpower, and just kind of go, okay. I'd rather them do that than it hamper the storytelling.
Right.
And again, the storytelling in this, I just wanted more.
Yeah.
Like, really, my biggest criticism is like, just could have been longer.
Yeah,
could have taken. And again, I understand all the realities around that, but
I'm not watching these for reality.
Really
I'm not watching these for reality. Give me. That's been our complaint with all the Marvel shows, and even the Mandalorian, and it's probably just because we're fans. We just want more.
Yeah, I just want more. My daughter wants more candy, but she can only have so much candy, or she'll get a tummy ache, and that's basically us as fans. Is we want more. Give us all the but no, you can't. You got to choose. You can just have a couple, and then we'll see you next Halloween.
Yeah, you can have three. You can either have 3 Milky Ways, or you can have 6 Hershey's Kisses, or an apple and a Butterfinger, but you can't.
But yeah, speaking of treats, man, what a treat. It was just such a great way to finish off. The What If series.
Yeah.
I'd like to, unless there's anything else you wanted to touch on that we need to talk about.
Well, I mean, there's so much to talk about. I mean, I loved the way that they tied up Black Widow's story and the tribute they give to Hawkeye. I love.
Oh yeah, no, I'm so glad you brought that up. Like, absolutely, this is for you, Hawkeye.
Yeah.
And again. Boom.
Yeah.
I'm no genius.
Yeah.
It was pretty obvious it was going to come down to that virus. They telegraphed that pretty good. But yeah,
I love.
So great.
Go ahead.
Oh, it's just so great how the team up. And again, I'll get to this later. This is one of my wish list things. But the team up between Black Widow from Apocalypseverse and Captain Carter was awesome.
Yeah. Well, and it just shows that throughout the multiverses, Black Widow and Captain whoever it is, whether it's Captain Steve Rogers or Captain Carter,
are
close. They're tied in. They're a team. That trajectory follows through.
Well, yeah, because when Black Widow from Apocalypseverse, from Age of Ultron world, and Captain Carter meet up, Black Widow snatches the Soul Stone as soon as they get there, and Captain Carter has intimate knowledge of Natasha Romanoff from any multiverse.
Yeah.
Where she was able to gain her trust in like 30 seconds.
Yeah. Other things that I loved in this, I love that we get the Arnim Zola in the Vision body, in the stomach face, because that's, typically
so great.
Typically in the comics, Arnim Zola's in a robot body and he's got his face is in the stomach. So I love that callback. Obviously,
awesome.
we talked about it before, where I was like, well, how do you have an Eric Killmonger join the Guardians of the Multiverse? He's such an a-hole, and he's a villain.
Well, and they made no bones about it. I did love the choice writing wise. Where they just called themselves out. They knew They knew that we weren't going to be fooled. They didn't have the time to even try to fool us. And so there's even that line where it's like, do you entirely trust that guy?
Yeah.
And Thor's like, I trust everybody.
Yeah.
And it's a very much a wink and a nod to the fans of like, we know that he's going to betray everybody. Yeah. But again, it makes you feel, the number one rule in writing is make the audience feel smart. Yeah. And I felt very smart.
Yeah.
And I think everybody did, because it's like, was no surprise that Killmonger betrayed everybody in the end and wanted those Infinity Stones.
Yeah.
But the way it played out, so great. And again, reminded me with Doctor Strange, his moment of realization was a real time him realizing like the 1 in 14 million possibilities. Him going, we were never supposed to win.
Yeah.
We were just supposed to separate the stones from the body.
Yeah. Yeah, which just shows that also in whatever reality we're in, Doctor Strange is the key to understanding what the victory terms are. He's the smart guy in the room.
Right.
Just a couple more things.
Yeah. Now that Tony Stark is dead.
Yeah.
Is dead, and dead again in multiverses.
Yeah. Just a couple more things. I thought it was strange, no pun intended, that we didn't get a Spider-Man in this episode. I really expected that Spider-Man would have come along as the Guardians of the Multiverse.
I was a little bummed. But again, I maybe that's chalked up to, and they didn't want to go into every little thing that they had to leave out that's going to be in season 2. But and I think that we should spend a couple minutes here talking about season 2 at the end here, and what we think is season 2 is going to happen.
Yeah. Well, so let's just get into it, and it starts off with our post-credit scene that we get.
Right.
Which
post-credit scene. Absolutely. We got to hit that.
Which shows,
in case you missed it, definitely there is a post-credit scene to the last episode of What If.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Which shows Captain Carter back in her time with her widow. She goes right back into place. And we started this stuff in this episode on the boat from Civil War. She was fighting. I can't remember the villain's name right now.
The French assassin guy. The guy who was also who died in Falcon Winter Soldier, but was that really awesome fight scene that they totally homaged her version of it.
But
at the beginning of the episode.
But so in this multiverse, instead of going and getting the information to bring down Hydra, they end up finding the Hydra Smasher. And what we're going to assume is Steve Rogers inside the Hydra Smasher.
There's somebody inside of it, which is right after her little moment with Doctor Strange, and when they're all having their weird like post-celebratory thing where he's like, "Oh, in my universe, Steve Rogers got the serum," and whoa, does Captain Carter light up to that?
Yeah.
Say, "Ooh, that's hot."
Yeah.
But now then she's gonna get little wimpy Steve.
Right. Well,
in her timeline.
Well,
but it's true love.
Well, and she and to that point, we thought we were going to get an Endgame moment where the Watcher sends her back to her Steve, but he's like, no, you need to go back where you're needed. And
he doesn't tell her exactly.
And she gets her Steve because Steve's going to be there. But like what we talked about earlier, are we going to get a Winter Soldier Steve Rogers? Is he going to be corrupted by Hydra?
I think so. I think so. But it does. That does. I have to put a pin in that. We can circle right back to it. But I did have a question for you because I know I've only had a chance to watch the episode once. You've watched it twice. So the Watcher tells everybody they're not going to remember once they go back.
Right.
But it feels like Black Widow kind of remembers, and Nick Fury definitely knows she's not from someplace else. And it also felt like Peggy Carter, like Captain Carter, also was exempted from that rule.
When he said,
because she does say to Black Widow, she does say
it's good to see you.
It's not even the weirdest thing I've seen today. Yeah. And I'm like, well, wait, the only thing you did was fight this French guy. Yeah. That can't be what you're talking about.
When the Watcher said it, he says no one there will know that you were gone or that this happened.
Oh,
so they're going to retain their memories of what happened, which is why Stephen Strange still remembers, which is why Captain Carter still remembers, which is why the Black Widow that gets sent to the world without a widow, which was our What If the Avengers Died multiverse, instead of the multiverse that it should have been, which is the end of the Endgame universe to get us our Black Widow back into the main timeline, Disney. We get the Black Widow. She gets sent into the universe without any Avengers to team up with that set of the new Avengers.
Well, okay, to give Disney a pass, it was cool as that would be. It would be breaking the rule that
about the Soul Stone.
It would be about the Soul Stone that there is no way in hell can she come back.
Well, there's no known way. But just like the Watcher says, you cannot believe to understand the power of my will. So,
very true.
Who knows?
Very true.
I would have loved to have seen that happen, but it didn't. I also
didn't he break enough rules though? Didn't he break enough rules?
I mean, technically, he only broke one, maybe two. Well, two because he took Black Widow somewhere else. I mean, he bent some.
You're right because he did not interfere in the final fight.
Yeah,
and if he'd gotten all those people together. and had him. He really only, I mean, technically, he really only defended himself from Ultron.
Yeah.
And then he bent the rules to go find all these other people, basically as the multiverse is collapsing, to have a last stand and try to save the multiverse.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's plenty of other moments that I'd love to gush about. You know, to get back to me gushing, but we're not going to get into that because that's going to lead me down an entire, just talking about all the little
rabbit hole,
all the little tie-ins that they hit with all the other movies. But we'll get to that some other time. Wishlist. What do you got going on?
Oh man, so speaking of gushing, got to gush a little bit about kind of a milestone for us. We started this the show with What If. And so this is our first series that we've talked about every episode. So what if we did a podcast has come to its conclusion. So I guess we are doing a podcast.
Yes.
We are the a YouTube show that we're trying to make a podcast.
Yeah.
But so that, and then just kind of keying off of the end of our discussion about this episode is just a wish list I have for Marvel, and I really, really I would love more what if stories. What I'd really like that are just kind of all over the place and can help. I think what they're going to do is it's going to kind of be the glue that holds phase 4 together, this next phase leading in. But I really I think they should do a whole spin-off show. I could watch Captain Carter and Widow. I could watch T'Challa Star-Lord.
Well, so it's funny. It's funny that you say that because I read something this morning. They were thinking of doing a T'Challa Star-Lord spinoff, obviously before the tragedy that we get with Chadwick Boseman, who is this is the last passing. Now the last appearance of Chadwick Boseman as the Black Panther. So
Chadwick.
So
thanks,
he will be missed. I can't wait to see what they do in Black Panther 2 to memorialize what he brought forward.
There's some juicy details coming about it. So maybe we'll have to do a solo, Black Panther Wakanda Forever episode. Yeah.
But I mean, super excited for what's to come with What If. Like we talked about before, the sky's the limit with what we can get going forward. They can do whatever they want, and they're just gonna keep hitting this trajectory and spin off of what we're getting so far. They've already told us that we're going to get that Tony Stark and Gamora on Sakaar episode in the next season. So it'll be a little retroactive into what we got, but it'll be cool nonetheless because I'd love to see the Hulkbuster armor in the position of the Hulk and Gamora in the position of Thor on Sakaar and Grandmaster and all that stuff. I'm just excited. Excited for everything they can do for all the other tie-ins because that's my favorite part of the show so far. Is all the little, they're not even Easter eggs because they're just callbacks to everything that we've had so far. And it's just so fun to stop and go, hey, Thor's yelling in this one just like he yelled when he got sucked into Sakaar. And he's,
Oh my God, I laughed so hard at that. I laughed so hard at that. Whereas like, we need to, we got to stop and talk about, that was great. Thor. And he just grabbed him. He just he finally just
banging on all the Ultrons. Viva Las Vegas!
Because this is Thor. This is Thor who's basically the Thor who doesn't have his hammer taken away by his father. This is Thor just rocking it out,
I
love that.
I warned you. I have a habit of bringing problems.
Of bringing unwanted attention. I did warn you. But no, and I love Party Thor. I love all of it. But I mean it. Like, I need a spin-off completely different than What If. I just want to see Captain Carter and Black Widow in that timeline with Steve Rogers, like you said, in the Hydra Buster, who's Winter Soldiered, and she's got to bring him back. And I don't even need other universes. I could just watch that one play out. Like, and they owe Haley Atwell that show. Like, I would even, if they wanted to make it live action, I'd be so down for that, except that they probably couldn't get ScarJo, but maybe they can.
Well, they can now.
Because
they can now.
They're friends again.
Kiss,
we're
make up.
Friends again.
Okay.
So, I just had to talk about that. That's the thing I really want right now. Is it's just that that Captain Carter version, Black Widow, great. I also wouldn't mind having a Black Widow in the universe where all the Avengers die and we find out like who the new, who the new Avengers are.
Right. It's a little bit harder to do because we have, I don't know if we have an aging Samuel L. Jackson would want to come back and portray a Nick Fury that's at the prime of being an Avenger. But I'd love.
Well, I mean, they can de-age.
I'll watch all of it, man. I will watch all of it, just like with Star Wars.
Yeah.
Just give me more of it. I just
more. All the candy.
More.
All the candy
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was the kid that ate my entire bag or like half a bag of candy the first night of Halloween. So just give me all of it.
Yes, you were. I remember. We've known each other that long. Yeah. But all right, man. Well, I think we're both playing Star Wars Galaxies on Oculus Quest. I think that's going to be an episode coming up. I think we're going to start twitching some of that stuff. Lots to talk about there.
Yeah, Venom.
Lots
Venom
to talk
2.
about,
saw Venom 2 over the weekend. Look for an episode come out.
Don't tell me nothing.
Oh my God, dude!
I know. Tomorrow night. And then we'll record on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh man, dude. Okay. All I'm gonna say.
Dude.
All I'm gonna say is there is a mid-credit scene. There's not an end-credit scene.
La la la.
There is a mid-credit scene. If that hasn't been spoiled for you yet, because it was kind of spoiled for me a little bit.
I'm on internet lockdown. That's why I have to go tomorrow because I haven't been on the internet for like days.
Yeah. So we're plenty more Star Wars coming up. Plenty more Marvel coming up. We got the Eternals coming up. I'm going to run out and buy my ticket today. Tickets are on sale now.
Ooh, on sale now.
It's on sale. Sale. So, I mean, just plenty more to come. I hope you stick along for the ride. Like, follow, subscribe, ring the little bell so you get notifications when we post the episodes. Sorry, this one's coming up a little late, but I was out of town last week. So that's the breaks. But thanks for joining us, and come back for more helpings of Applesauce and Baloney.